Well, in this lecture, I'm going to be talking about another approach for NER, but some articles are about use the method of token, and they consider NER task as a sequence labeling task. So token by token, they predict the entities, but recently we have span level prediction. But this paper tries to unify these two methods. Method 1 based on token, method 2 is span level, and tries to unify them and combine the information from each of these paradigms. So I'm gonna be explaining this paper in 2023. Future sequence labeling aims to identify novel classes based on only a few label samples. Existing methods solve the data scarcity problem mainly by designing token level or span level labeling models based on metric learning. However, these methods are only trained at a single granularity, either token level or span level, and have some weaknesses of the corresponding granularity. In this paper, they first unify token and span level supervisions and propose a consistent dual adaptive prototypical network for few-shot sequence labeling. I have a playlist for few-shot learning, and in that playlist, ProtoNet is just one of the methods that you can use for few-shot learn. So let's carry on. To align the outputs of two networks, we further propose a consistent laws to enable them to learn from each other. During the inference phase, we propose a consistent greedy inference algorithm that first adjusts the predicted probability and then greedily selects non-overlapping spans with maximum probability. For example, we have some support and we have some query. So there are three contributions. They first unify token and span level supervisions to train few-shot sequence labeling, and then they propose a consistent dual adaptive prototypical network for few-shot sequence labeling and a consistent greedy inference algorithm to combine the results of two networks. Because there are two networks, of course, because one network is about sequence token by token method, the other network is based on span level prediction. And now here there is a kind of match, and taking the advantage of two different sources of information, two different kinds of prediction to unify them, and then the final NER is based on information from two different perspectives. So they define a sentence and its label where SI is a span, S sub I is a span in sentence. So when your span is just one word, then it reduces to the token level. And S here represents matrix of all spans in the support set. But S bar is after a cross attention module. And these are the number of spans in the support set, number of spans in the query set, and number of spans with the subclass OK. It means others. But others can be divided into many others because it's a very big area, so we don't want to just collapse everything into just one category. So as I said, we have two paths. The first path, for example, the upside path. This path is for token level embedding. As you see, we are embedding each token by token. But this path, that's first we do cross attention, and there and after a while then we align both these two paths in order to get a unified understanding of NER. We utilize BERT to encode sentences in the support and query set. Given a sentence, we insert CLS and separation token for each sentence to get the input of BERT and feed it into the BERT to get contextual representation. So after we got the contextual representation, then we have a token level network. It's just a linear layer, and then after that but for the span level network, we use the boundary, left and right boundary, and a linear layer to obtain the span representation as input to span network. So we concatenate them. Of course, I've seen some papers that concatenate even more, which is the length. So U of length. They also embed the length, but in this paper, they just ignore this kind of embedding. But that paper is more expressive because it has better and more features. And here you see the idea of token level adaptive prototypical network. So we adopt an adaptive prototype to classify tokens. General proto networks simply average all tokens of the same class. But here, and you know that average does not reflect the importance of each token. Therefore, we consider what is the importance of each token. And that weight, because it's just a linear combination of all of these. So it's like attending to each of these tokens. Some of them are important, but if all alpha are 1, then it becomes the traditional way of averaging that we see in the classical paper of Protonet. And then we utilize cross-entropy loss to optimize the network. So everything's standard from here. But for cross-attention, they use this cross-attention that simply we use feed-forward neural network of SN hat, but we also have SN. So this is a better feature than just putting SN. And then we give it to a layer norm to give our representation. And as I said, other class is too big, so we separate it into O1, O2, O3. And the rest of thing is standard. We calculate the probability of each label, and we have, of course, we from the support you calculate your prototype, of course not by averaging but by attention. And so the overall algorithm, first we randomly sample a mini batch data, support and query for training, and then we give it to the BERT, both support and the query we give to the BERT, and then we calculate token level loss. This is token level loss. And then we have span level loss. And then you will see that it's just a KL divergence between these two in order to unify them. So this is the consistent loss calculation that is calculated in this step. And then span level is loss by itself can be calculated. Token level loss by itself can be calculated. And we have some hyperparameters, gamma, beta, alpha, because it's trade-off between different world of token, world of span, and world of alignment. So P here is predicted probability of J's class for span QI. Because given a span, what is the probability of J's class? And we know the Y star, the gold. We know the gold truth label. And for consistent math loss, we just use KL divergence, as I said. KL divergence between token and span. And from span to token, They do it in order to reduce some kind of bias and to make it more symmetric. And now you combine and you get your final prediction, because this token is other, this token belongs to this category of building other. So your training is, as I said, you have some hyperparameters. You can play with that to have different results for training and accuracy. And for consistent inference algorithm, we consider extracted entities and slots unreliable if the two networks predict different labels. So we propose a consistent greedy algorithm to combine the network of two networks. So we first adjust the predicted probabilities of spans and then use a greedy algorithm to gradually select non-overlapping spans with maximum probability. So we consider a span to be reliable if all token level predictions from token level network in the span agree with the span level prediction from the span level network. For example, as shown in that figure, the prediction of span power plant is consistent, and the prediction Nimbus power plant and the Nimbus power plant is inconsistent. So we punish the probabilities of these inconsistent spans. We punish them. And so y bar, and y hat is the predicted probability of span qi after and before consistent adjustment. And delta is just a hyperparameter to control the degree of penalty. And this count is the number of inconsistent tokens. So this is the process of consistent greedy inference. Here we punish the inconsistent predictions. And finally, we get the extracted entities or slot sets. The dataset, like previous lecture, they use FUNERD, and here they use SNPs and cross as well. The domain is typically Wikipedia dialogue, but the domain of biomedical texts are much richer, much more difficult than these toy datasets. So the F1 score for 5-way or 10-way, we have different results. But the bold one, for example, 63, is for this model that is proposed. And you see, if we compare it to classical paper Protonet in 2017, you see it's quite big improvement, about 20% increase, which is very nice.